Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order this October 24th meeting of the Pierce County Council. The time is 3:03 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Cruver.
Here.
Councilmember Denson.
Here.
Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Here.
Councilmember Morrell.
Here.
Councilmember Mello.
Here.
There are 7 members present, Mr. Chair.
We have all 7 members present and a quorum. We're at item 3, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and our land acknowledgement. Please join us in listening to the land acknowledgement and Pledge of Allegiance to the flag led by Councilmember Herrera, followed by a moment of silence dedicated to the violence in the Middle East. Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to the uplifting voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land. I'd like everybody to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us, right behind you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now at section 4, approval of our agenda. Are there any objections to approving today's agenda as presented? Seeing no objection, the agenda is approved. On today's council agenda, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment. On the consent agenda, you may provide comment on any final action item. This does not include items placed on the consent agenda for introduction and scheduling. On today's consent agenda, there are 2 appointment resolutions and 1 grant approval for final consideration. Then during sections 8 and 9 of the agenda, we will take public comment on each ordinance and resolution individually. And finally, under community forum, there will be an opportunity to address the council on any topic that is not on today's agenda. That brings us to section 5, the consent agenda. Does any member wish to pull the consent agenda, pull any item from the consent agenda?
Thank you, Chair. I do want to check to see in the room or on Zoom, do we have anyone last name Sheehy? If so, raise your hand. Not seeing any, then I just want to move item number C2B, R 2023-154 to section 7 of the agenda, and then adopt the consent agenda as amended.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda with the exception of moving proposal number R 2023-154 to resolutions under regular business. This is a public hearing on any final action items of the consent agenda. We'll start in chambers. Anybody wishing to provide comment on any final action item on our consent agenda? Not seeing anybody come to the podium in council chambers. We'll go to the Zoom room. Mr. Dominique.
For any member of the public wishing to provide public comment on the consent agenda, please press press the raised hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Councilmember Cruver. Aye. Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted, and Resolution 2023-154 has been moved to Section 9 of today's agenda. We're now at Section 6, messages from the executive, judges, and prosecuting attorney. There are none today. And there are no proclamations, recognitions, or awards. So that brings us to Section 8, ordinances. We have Proposal 2023-30S before us. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number 2023S. Oh, my apologies. Let me try that again. And without a second, that doesn't move forward. How about I move proposal number 2023-30S?
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Proposal 2023-30S. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title into the record?
Proposal number 2023-30S, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council adopting the 2023 update to Sustainability 2030, Pierce County's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Plan, Sustainability 2030 pursuant to revised Code of Washington 70A 45070.
Last line.
The last line is PCC, Pierce County Code, Sustainability 2030, Pierce County's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Plan.
Thank you. Mr. Kruger, to brief the council.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, council members. This proposal would update the county's Sustainability 2030 plan, which is also known as Pierce County's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Plan. Pierce County's adopted policy, as described in Sustainability 2030, is to reduce countywide greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by the year 2030. State law requires that agencies distributing funds for infrastructure and economic development consider whether the receiving entity has adopted greenhouse gas reduction policies. To satisfy this requirement, the Pierce County Council adopted a series of sustainability plans, the latest being Sustainability 2030. That plan was adopted through ordinance number 2021-8S2 in March of 2021. That plan included a commitment for 2-year updates, with this first update scheduled in 2023 in anticipation of the biennial budget, and so that's why you're hearing this now. The goal of the Sustainability 2030 plan update is to reduce countywide and county government greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by the year 2030 based upon a year 2015 baseline. The Sustainability 2030 update modifies the original action areas and separates the action items into 2 groups: community focus areas and municipal focus areas. Each focus area contains detailed action items describing its benefits and the lead county department responsible for implementing each action item. In addition to the action plan, Sustainability 2030 identifies 4 critical steps necessary to meet its greenhouse gas reduction goals. The first is to ensure the Pierce County Executive and the Council engage and have oversight and support of the greenhouse gas reduction policy efforts. The second is to prioritize actions to maximize greenhouse gas reductions and co-benefits, especially those that will most affect frontline communities and those affected and identified as community priorities. The third item requires securing funding resources for plan implementation and coordination. And the last is to continue to meaningfully engage frontline community members, build relationships with partners, and integrate community priorities into the plan's implementation. This proposal was heard and considered at the Community Development Committee meeting on August 7th, 2023, and was forwarded to the full council without recommendation. The reason for the delay between the August 7th committee meeting and tonight to hear this in final action was a delay in the environmental review process that was necessary for adoption of this non-project action. The SEPA determination of non-significance was completed and adopted and dated September 12th, 2023. There is one amendment that I can speak to at the appropriate time, and we do have 3 folks with our sustainability group on the call: Ryan Dix, Laura Reisner, and Kyla Wilson, if you have any questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dix, thank you for being with us. I'll turn to you to see if you have anything to add on behalf of the department at this time.
No, nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Kruger or Mr. Dix or one of his staff who are here in chambers before we offer Amendment 1? Councilmember Morell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question, Mr. Kruger, on the changes to the plan. I think it's on slide, well, here it's 15, page 15.
Okay.
It lists under carbon sequestration, support to WSU extension to hire a regional agricultural specialist. What's the price tag on that? Do you know?
I don't know that off the top of my head. We can check the budget to see if that priority is included in the biennial budget. I'm not sure that it is. If not, we can certainly get you a price tag on that if that's something that council wants to consider funding.
Okay, so this doesn't commit us to hiring a agricultural specialist,
That's correct.
and there's no funding attached to it that you're aware of?
There's no funding attached to implementation of this plan. All the funding to implement this plan requires additional work of the council and incorporation into the budget.
Okay. Let me see. I have one more question. I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Kruger.
Thank you, Chair. I thought there was a fiscal impact note with this.
So the fiscal impact note of $2 million pertains to the Office of Sustainability, which is budgeted in the solid waste division.
But they're all connected.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dix, the slide that Councilmember Morel was pointing out that we have in front of us, I think this was produced by you or your team, key changes to the plan, omitted actions, and you have 3 boxes listed here, some notations under transportation, waste reduction, and carbon sequestration. Are you conveying to council here under slide 15 that the bulleted items are not able to be accomplished in this plan? Is that what this slide is trying to convey?
Yeah, and I don't have it in front of me because I don't have a second monitor. My apologies. But my understanding is that those are not in this plan. They were in the first plan and are not in this current plan. It doesn't mean that in some cases we're not doing it. It's just that it's been put into another action. And I don't know if Kyla Wilson with Sustainable Resources has any other thoughts on that.
I do have the slide up. Thank you. So yes, that slide 15 does list omitted actions from this current draft of the plan. These are actions that were previously included in the Sustainability 2030 plan. So the action support WSU extension to hire a regional agricultural specialist was in the previous version of the plan, the one that is currently adopted. What we have heard after meeting with WSU is this is not something that they feel they are able to move forward on in the next 2 years. So we've decided to take it out of the plan for the 2023 update.
Thank you for explaining that. There may be other questions, so I invite you to stay there until we're done. Councilmember Kruger.
Thank you, Terry. Just something that came to mind. I believe there were 77 action items in the plan, and I believe Tacoma had something similar that they had accomplished. And was there any measured effect on that, what Tacoma accomplished? Do you know?
Tacoma has a current climate action plan that they passed in 2021 as well. November of 2021. It outlines a very similar scope of actions, and they do release a update. So they had a update in 2022 and an update. They'll have another update this year showing progress on those actions. They do not have a previous climate action plan that has the same scope. There was a 2020 environmental action plan that the City of Tacoma did adopt with the timeline of completing it by 2020, similar to the county's Sustainability 2020 plan. Those actions were more focused, similarly to our plan, on internal actions.
But I do believe they have been implementing climate change policies since around 2012 to 2015 or so, beginning back then. And I'm wondering, I don't know the full scope, but
I think I can speak to that. Christy Lynette, who was the first sustainability manager for City of Tacoma, started, I believe, in 2009. Yeah, so they've had, I guess at this point, they're about 14 years into at least staffing sustainability role for the City of Tacoma.
any measurable effect?
Yeah, I think lots of measurable effects. And Kyla may have more information on this, but they have reduced their greenhouse gas emissions in the City of Tacoma. Some of those are situations where certain large employers have left that had a big impact. So it's not always great news in their particular circumstance, but they have reduced greenhouse gas emissions when they've done city inventories. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. I was working on trying to pull up the, as we know, Tacoma and the kind of the parts of Pierce County have been out of attainment because of their air quality and have, while not fully back in attainment, have definitely moved the needle on air quality over the last decade, including more, what is it, PM 2.5, but other airborne chemicals within the air, making it generally cleaner air. There's also been a lot of work on the amount of pollutants going into the sound has been reduced, and they've been able to track down many and sometimes decades old underground pollution through their monitoring and remediate that so that it didn't continue to pollute. I think if we could probably schedule something in the future, but I think from my experience of someone who was looked skeptical when it came into Tacoma and seeing where we came, it has been a big jump forward in their ability to make sure that they're being responsible to the impacts that they're having on the community as a government.
Thank you. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. Just had a quick question on, does this include JBLM, or does JBLM fall underneath this plan at all, or are they kind of separate from the plan?
Mr. Dix or Ms. Wilson?
I guess I can start, and then maybe Ryan wants to add on to that. Our plan covers it will cover many people who work at JBLM who live in the broader Pierce County community, but it does not include JBLM's operational emissions because they have their own, they basically operate as their own jurisdiction. And I know I've met with their sustainability folks. They have some great staff who are working on internal sustainability at JBLM as well. And we have them involved in our sustainability collaborative. So we are definitely working on emission reduction as partners, but we are serving more those residents who live in Pierce County who may work at the base, or but those who live on base are served by JBLM's sustainability team.
Well, I can only imagine that JBLM does have an effect for the county as a whole with their operations, and I don't know if that's been taken into consideration, I guess, from the totality of the whole process. If not.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't remember if we included JBLM's emissions in our countywide inventory because they fall within the geographical boundary of Pierce County. I want to say yes, but I don't know for sure.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you. Sorry, Ian. Just look. Is my mic on? Okay. I just got a chance to look back at what City of Tacoma has posted from 1990. They were having of CO2 over between 2 and 2.5 million pounds of pollution, and now they've gotten that down to about 1.5 million. So they do actually have mass where they've measured the reduction they've had in greenhouse gases up here on their website, and the continued progress that they have into the future, which should bring it down under $1 million. So cutting it more than in half of the contributions, you can look it up online. But they have posted that. On a side note, some of the work that they did there helped build the Center for Urban Waters, which was one of the first sustainable buildings built that attracted organizations like Maritime Blue, which includes the Aquaga, was attracted to it because of the work there, which is now leading the world in PFAS remediation and removing PFAS from our environment, the forever chemicals that are building up in people's bodies, getting it actually physically removed from our environment, created right here in Tacoma because of the work that they did through their plan to create an environment that would attract businesses like Aquaga. And so it's many times the benefits aren't a straight line, but you can have benefits that come out secondarily, like changing the amount of forever chemicals in the planet Earth. So, thank you.
Thank you. Before we introduce Amendment 1, the one big thing I've been following during this update to the sustainability plan, and I think the biggest opportunity in front of the county over the next 2 years is the opportunity of the Inflation Reduction Act. Hundreds of billions of dollars will flow to businesses and homeowners and renters and every community if we're set up to grab those dollars. They're not just going to flow to us through formula funds. As I understand it, the Inflation Reduction Act is largely competitive, which means we need to be set up to compete and have our businesses compete, other local governments, big and small, compete to really take advantage of this really huge opportunity that's I don't think it comes around very often at all. I think that the plan looks at really calls out how important the Inflation Reduction Act opportunity is, but I'm not yet convinced that the department yet has the resources, not because you don't want to, but I'm not yet convinced the department has all the staffing resources to position Pierce County to be really successful with this once in a multiple generation opportunity to succeed with the significant amount of funding available from the federal government for us to save money and implement progress. I'd love to hear from Mr. Dix or Ms. Wilson about how this plan is setting us up for Inflation Reduction Act success and get our fair share or then some.
Sure. It is a big priority of ours to make sure that these dollars flow to Pierce County. It is mostly a competitive process. And I think it puts a challenge on us to just come up with the appropriate grant writing, grant skills, putting together grants that are competitive with what's happening in King County, what's happening in Portland, Oregon, and Los Angeles, and New York, and everywhere else across the country. But we have a growing staff, and we are excited about this opportunity and trying to bring these dollars for really some major projects around electrification of both transportation and our building sector, as well as potentially reducing food waste and the solid waste side of things. So it definitely is a huge opportunity, and we're excited to work across the county on trying to bring these dollars here because they will create jobs, which is an exciting piece, and we want to make sure that we have the workforce as well to do it. I mean, part of it, there's going to be a big effort to retrofit a lot of homes, a lot of buildings, a lot of businesses, and we're going to need the HVAC people, the people who work, the electricians, to do the work. And so I think that's really a big priority of this plan update, as you said. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll observe that I don't think you have the staffing to take advantage of the moment and the opportunity, and I'll be looking to adjust that in the county's adopted budget this next biennium so we can position ourselves to take advantage of the opportunity. Any other questions before we offer Amendment 1? Not seeing any. I'm going to ask Vice Chair Campbell to move Council Amendment number 1.
Thank you, Chair. I move Council Amendment number 1 to 2023-30S.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Council Amendment number 1. Mr. Kruger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Appendix 5 in the Sustainability 2030 Plan update contains the public comments that were received commenting on this plan. Between the time of the committee meeting and now, we have received 2 additional comments. This technical amendment would simply insert those comment letters into the exhibit number 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions about Council Amendment number 1? It adds to the public record of some public comments we received. Don't need to agree with them. It's just adding to the record that these folks submitted them. Councilmember Morell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How did these comments get sent? I mean, did they come to a certain response email or?
They were submitted to the Sustainability Division, and the Sustainability Division responded and provided council staff with this amendment concept and the attached letters.
Okay, because I obviously see pretty much positive comments here. Were there any of the other 2 negative?
The comments that were received that I'm familiar with were all supportive of the plan.
Right. Okay. I just received a couple comments against it, so I'm just kind of curious to see what emails they were supposed to go to.
If those comments came in through PC Council, the clerk puts those at the bottom of the record like any other proposal. I think these are the ones that came directly to the division through their public engagement process. These were received through the Sustainability Division's public engagement process. Other things we receive through our legislative process get added to the legislative record like any other bill.
Thank you.
Councilor Kruger.
Thank you, Chair. I think maybe that is clearing up my question because I didn't recall seeing an appendix with that on there. I just know when I look online, I can click on for the ordinance and see all of the comments that have been made. I didn't see that appendix to it. So this is just being added to that, which is already there. And is this already what is also included in online, all of them?
Yes.
Okay. Not a problem.
Differing, of course, from the comments that are received by council concerning the legislation itself.
Right.
So these comments are germane to the plan. The comments that you all received through PC Council or individually are regarding whether or not you should adopt the proposal.
Is it differentiated at all if they are connected with organizations that receive funding or are dependent upon a lot of the grants based on this kind of legislation?
They're just all packaged together and put into the appendix 5, number 5.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments on Council Amendment number 1? Seeing none, we'll take a voice vote on the adoption of Council Amendment number 1, simply adding to the public engagement record. All those in favor of adopting Council Amendment number 1, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is adopted. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. We will open this up for a public hearing. We'll start in chambers. Anyone wishing to provide comment on the Sustainability 2030 Plan update, please come to the podium, state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to make your remarks. We'll start here in chambers, and then we'll move to the Zoom room. Mr. Mauer.
Okay, just to come up. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Council. For the record, my name is Matthew Mauer, representing the Port of Tacoma today. We are here to support the adoption of Proposal 2023-30S, your update to the 2023 Sustainability 2030, or the 2023 update to the Sustainability 2030 Plan. Sorry, that was a little bit of a mouthful. As many of you are aware, the Port has entered into a consortium with the Port of Seattle and the Port Fraser, or the Port Authority in Fraser, British Columbia, called the Northwest Ports Clean Air Strategy. And the goal of that is to reduce carbon-related emissions to zero for port-related activities within all 3 of those ports. And so this is something that's very important to our commission, and the port is to reduce the carbon emissions related to our own industry down here at the port. Most recently this year, the Commission accelerated our timeline to reduce our carbon emissions that are held by Port of Tacoma. So our buildings, our owned infrastructure, our cars, to reduce those to zero by 2040, accelerating it by 10 years. As many of you are aware, we had a joint study session, both the port and the county, talking about our sustainability goals along with yours. And we really think it's very important for our organization to work very closely with the county organization to ensure we're alignment and can really kind of work together, especially with some of these grant dollars coming down from the federal government, to really make the most impact possible. As you are, I'm sure, also aware that our business model is vulnerable to sea level rise. Sea level rise to the Port of Tacoma is obviously related to the greenhouse gas emissions within the global greenhouse gas emissions. So reducing those locally is also a vulnerability issue for us to ensure that we can be operating and be that economic hub in Pierce County and Tacoma for generations to come. So I'm here to say thanks again for giving me the opportunity to talk, and really urging support and passage of the update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maurer. Anyone else in chambers wishing to provide comment on the Sustainability 2030 plan update? Not seeing anybody in chambers. Mr. Dominique, anybody in our Zoom room?
For any member of the public wishing to provide comment on proposal number 2023-30S, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or press star 9 on your telephone keypad. We have one hand raised right now. WOLK. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Wolk, and I'm the candidate for Tacoma Public Schools, position 5.
Sir,
Point of order.
Yes.
you can speak to the proposal in front of us as a candidate for office. You're not to campaign in this public forum.
Understood. Well, I just want to talk a little bit about how everything that comes down the pipeline with you folks seems to be aimed at one thing, and that's increasing control over the population. And this 2030 plan, and I know it's a plan that has been adopted by a lot of jurisdictions and stuff, but honestly, some of us are very fed up and getting more and more fed up with the constant intrusions on people's liberty and on even our understanding of language and humanity itself. So I'm critical of critical theory, which has come to dominate our institutions and seems to... Yes.
Please pause.
This has nothing to do with critical theory. If we could remain on topic.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. Mr. Wilk, we're going to ask you to stay focused and on topic. So please comment on the Sustainability 2030 plan. Give you one last warning to stay on topic.
We're not going to be a 15-minute city, not in Tacoma, and Pierce County's not going to accept it either. So I'm just making you aware of that this, pump the brakes. All right, I could be done.
Thank you.
For anyone else who would like to provide comment on 2023-30S, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no more hands, Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? We'll begin with Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. The former science teacher in me just has to comment that I really appreciate the level of detail that's gone into this plan and really thinking about the impacts and looking at what do we do short-term, mid-term, long-term. I love the way we've outlined the things that we've completed, that we've started. But my favorite is the staff that intentionally pulled youth voice into this, because the impacts of what we decide to do and not do in our community and as a government will impact the kids that are here now for much longer than I will be around, and any of our children be around. Like we want our children to have a place to be healthy, and these are some of the small actions, and they look like a piece of paper, but I know that the sustainability department that Mr. Dix runs and our partners are hard at work trying to implement these items in ways that will make the biggest impact across our county. So truly appreciate their work and acknowledge that it is a lot of work that they've laid out as their plan. If you look at it, it's a lot to do, and just excited to see more items ticked off and looking at what's next. So thank you to the staff for all of your work and engagement in this and helping make Pierce County a cleaner place to live for longer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Campbell.
If I can ask the council operator to pull up slide number 2 in the slide deck. There we go, that one. The one with Executive Dan Meyer signing our greenhouse gas reduction program in April of 2021, or the sustainability program, I should say. Sustainability has long had a bipartisan support because when it comes down to it, it's about providing a better future for all of our kids. You can see what our goals are right there, from what it was to what it's grown to where we hope to be. And we either have a choice. We can either hope for the better and work for the better, or just let it continue as it is. I read through some of these: increasing tree canopy. I like trees. More park space, electrification of transportation. Since I'm on if I include my bikes, my 4th electric vehicle, then something that I have found very useful. But really, it's just about, we have a choice of which direction we want to go forward. And I know we've had, not just here in Pierce County, but across this nation, and it's not often touted enough, the bipartisan support that we've had for a better future. And so today I will be voting and encourage a yes vote on behalf of continuing this work that we've started on and that we've already seen reductions in greenhouse gas on a smaller level. Reductions in pollution, reductions in just many of the toxicities that we have in our environments, and increases in just a healthier environment. And for that, I will be voting for this. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. Any other final remarks? Councilmember Cruver.
Thank you, Chair. Well, it's no secret that I am not a fan of climate change goals and greenhouse gas accusations of how horrible it is. My research is it's the gas of life. And a couple of years ago, we were in the same situation, and I had a bunch of amendments, and I realized that even being in the minority isn't fun, and there's a lot of propaganda out there. And so I am going to use this opportunity to share why I will not be supporting this ordinance. And I believe I represent the better part of my district, which is very rural and does have a lot of tree canopy, but also realize that trees are a crop and trees are renewable. And we have been very studious about how we handle our trees. But I also have a lot to say. Out in the district, they are, working on retaining more trees for carbon sequestration, but a lot of that is for a spotted owl. And the spotted owl, I asked, so what about the barred owl, which is its predator? Well, we don't have a program for that. So we are putting land into conservation that could be generating revenue and be regenerating for future generations, but we're more concerned with the spotted owl. And then there is what is that bird that flies the 60 miles? It's a marbled murrelet. And I always ask, have you ever seen the bird? No, we don't, but we know this is nesting ground. Okay. And in relation to that, I have to kind of look at life on a scale of 1 to 10 on what's important. And it's been a rough couple of days. My neighbor lost their son. And so you count what's important. And I also had another meeting with someone who deals with folks who are homeless, and they have those who are not necessarily destitute, but they're on hard times, and their children don't have shoes, and they aren't in school, and she doesn't care about a spotted owl right now. But yet there is all of this climate change things that we need to do, but yet I always ask, what are we seeing happen? Greenhouse gas emissions are great for our environment. They're good for our canopies. They make the world green. So I have to look at the origins of the greenhouse gas and where it was getting going. And I go back to, actually, if I go back to the IPCC, people understand what the IPCC is and what they are telling us. They say it's 234 scientists reading 14,000 research papers, and then they derive at their findings through consensus. Science is not consensus. Science is facts. And so, yet because of that, but they've got the world spending millions and billions of dollars on trying to solve something that cannot be solved. The fiscal impact in this, as was noted earlier, 1.5 plus million a year. So, and what is the county getting for that? Because in addition to that, you have all kinds of organizations around that are also implementing plans. There's Climate Pierce County, Emerald Cities, the 5 Western governors. This is from 2007. 5 Western governors announced regional greenhouse gas reduction agreement. You've got, I don't need to go through them, but organizations throughout the county that are also spending money, making plans, and all they do is tell everybody what you cannot do, not within taking away liberties. I'm not without resources in validating the things I say. In fact, there should be something in here to go after termites. Bless Dixie Lee Ray. And she had noted in here the biggest carbon emitter are termites. Interesting, but we should be having something to do for pest control. I'm also a hoarder, and when I was down at the state, I pulled this out of the recycle. This is the 2009 Climate Impacts Group from the UW. You would think we would have something going on with all of the work that has been done since, 40, 50 years now. Sea level change, KGY in Olympia, 1912, I believe it is. They're doing fine. There's nothing happening with the sea level rise. And then we have the UN saying, oh my goodness, dire warning, if we are not reaching our climate goals. We've only gotten 1/3 of the way to our goals. Just give them more money, then they're going to be okay. That's all it takes. So then I look at some of the organizations that were on the IPCC, some of the individuals. So there was a gal from Brown University, and I'm going, oh, of course, they depend on grants. They had a $6 million grant over 5 years to do more studies for climate change, clean energy, and 3 ways cities can overcome them. This is all about funding organizations. They say, oh, this is going to create jobs. No, these are liabilities for the public. And when I looked through the plan, I noticed that there's a framework on being informed from 3 organizations. And I didn't have, I looked them all up, but I just want to make note. The one, Race Forward. And their mission is to catalyze movement for building racial justice. If we're working on greenhouse gas, we see how it has morphed into organizing our citizens. And the expense that is going, we don't have the financial capacity to do this, help our homeless. There's a war going on. The federal government is going to run out of money shortly. They don't have a Speaker of the House. And I don't know how many billions have already been in this. The Climate Reduction Act, that is a liability to the constituents. I also read recently how they're going to have to raise taxes at the federal level. At our level here, I've got for sale signs everywhere. People are not looking forward to having more rules and regulations that add to the cost of a house. This is totally antithesis to the goals that we have in providing things. And I think I'm almost done. One of the things I noticed too on all of the findings and all of the studies, if you note the words, this might reduce greenhouse gas. We expect this. We project that. The sea level set to grow in coming years. Flooding that can be or that can result in catastrophic, no water, no this. All of the fear-mongering, I don't buy it. Therefore, I will be a no vote. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Morell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In my response to this plan, I always go back to, I mean, as human beings, we were called to be good stewards of this earth, this planet that we're on, and I'm all for that. I think since the manufacturing era back in the build-up after World War II, we have reduced our greenhouse gases substantially. We also have found other ways to manufacture that don't need so many pollutants. We've cleaned up our waterways. We've cleaned up our creeks and rivers. We've made measurable betterment of our environment. My concern is as we continue to drive programs like this, that we don't allow the markets to control kind of where we go, that we're forcing it based on government money to try and change the way we do things in America. And I do have a concern about that. I mean, just the closure of West Rock probably reduced the carbon emissions down in Tacoma by 10%. But we lost 400 union jobs by that closure. And I don't see a big rush to bring on new industries that are more, green in this area. We are a blue-collar community. And there again, I'm all for supporting, conservation experts, conservation things that we do out in our community. I do have a lot of rural area in my district, and they're good stewards. There, as Councilmember Kruger said, they're the ones with all the tree canopies, and we take everything that urban areas send our way. But that doesn't mean that I'm just going to throw this thing out. I think that the incremental steps that we are taking are logical. I think there again, they're not a heavy lift that I would be really concerned about if there was a heavy price tag to this plan. I think the reduction in food waste is a good way to go. I'm a little concerned about the turnout on all the action items, especially the online survey response. You only got 125 out of 900,000 constituents. I think there again, and Mr. Dix knows this because I've said it, he needs to get out in the rural areas and take his message and get it out of the urban areas. But there again, I will support this plan this time, but I am having concerns as we elevate the fiscal impact of these type of plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. In hearing everybody, I definitely understand where everybody's coming from. Like I said this before in a committee meeting, being a young kid in Los Angeles in the 1970s, being in, I think, first grade and having smog alerts in 1976. I absolutely remember how rotten and how terrible. Los Angeles has always been bad, but it wasn't as bad as it was in 1976. And as I've grown older, I've seen how we, from those days and to where we are now, and how much we have come. And then in between those years, going to different countries, going to Europe in the early 90s and taking a look at their rivers, and growing up here in the Northwest and looking at our rivers and seeing the difference of unmanaged pollutants over hundreds of years, being in the Middle East, how they handle their pollutants, how they handle their garbage, how they handle their water. America has always kind of led the way when it comes to environmental things. We're a young country. And going back to Europe, I remember living in Europe for a while in the military, and the first thing they said is don't drink the water out of the tap. You know, the minimum standard here in the United States is you turn the tap on, you can drink it anywhere. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's through planning and making sure that the resources that we have today are going to be clean. I also have concerns that as we move forward with these plans, that we balance our economic infrastructure, that we're not killing ourselves. You know, I heard the Port of Tacoma talk that they're in support of this and they have an alliance, but I wanted to make sure that you know, they're an international business, and maybe China doesn't want to do business with us because their ships are dirty as heck. So we might be missing out in freight coming to the Pacific Northwest. So I just want to make sure that we balance all those things out economically, make sure we have jobs coming here. Times are changing. I mean, you know, the way we used to do things, the wagon wheel guy back in the turn of the century when cars came about had to change up. You know, we're changing as we go. This plan here is already in place, and we're moving along and checking it out every year and adjusting fire. So I understand someone who lives out in the rural areas and where they live, and they're good stewards, versus kind of being down here, but we're all kind of together, and we have to have a plan to keep everything clean. So I'm going to lean towards clean, and then also make sure that we have our economic infrastructure and balance those things out as we move forward. So I'll be supporting this today. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Denson?
Yes, thank you. I'm not going to repeat all of the words that have been said so far. I agree with most of them. I'm in strong support of this plan. And I just wanted to add a comment about some of the things that have been said in regards to economic development, because I also believe strongly that that's important, and we are good partners with our Port of Tacoma and other port partners and other business partners. Because as I've said before, and as other people have said, the environment and industry, the environment and economic development are not mutually exclusive. We do need to consider these together, similar to what Councilmember Herrera said. And as we were talking, I was remembering something I heard just a couple weeks ago, that Washington was included as a first clean hydrogen hub nationally. We were awarded. And that was so exciting, and that's exactly what we need, because with West Rock leaving, with other vacancies at the port and in other industrial areas, we want to attract those clean hydrogen businesses, the green hydrogen. We've talked about being a hub for a long time, and having a plan like this in place is so important for us to tell those industries, those businesses, those partners that want to invest in clean energy that we are receptive, that we are on the same page as them, and that we're going to be working together because we've got the same goals. So in regards to economic development, I think a plan like this is extremely important to show that we are going to be partners with these industries. They have a home here, and we want to make Tacoma and Pierce County a hub for green energy and attract more economic development, more good, clean jobs, more good, clean labor union jobs in particular that provide living wages to our families, and we can do that through the efforts of this plan and our partners at Planning and Public Works. So thank you guys for all your good work on this plan, and I will absolutely be in support.
Thank you, Councilmember Denson. I'm very excited about the opportunity of the hydrogen hub and the opportunity it presents for our region to create thousands of high-paying manufacturing jobs here in the Tide Flats of Tacoma and throughout the Northwest with that major investment from the federal government and private industry. A great testament to why having a clean environment and a sustainable environment helps us get there. So this is demonstrated to attract new employers, retain current employers, and attract great investment like we're seeing with the hydrogen hub. That's one major investment, but folks really look to regions that are leading in this way in order to grow their business and migrate their business and where they choose to raise their family. I appreciate this this plan being, it's actually more practical than the previous 2-year plan. No offense to the previous 2-year plan. But this is more practical than the previous 2-year plan, a little to Councilmember Morell's point, but it's also ambitious. And so I appreciate the practicality and the ambition, the focus of where we can really make impact. And, you know, my favorite coffee cup at home, it's not here in the office, so I don't get to show it to my colleagues, but my favorite coffee cup at home actually reads, "What if climate change isn't real and we are improving the quality of life for everyone for no reason?" What if climate change isn't real, Councilmember Krueger, and we are improving the quality of life for everyone for no reason? That's a lot about what we find in this plan. This plan does really practical, important things like making our air cleaner, which demonstrably is linked to chronic diseases. Chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes, as asthma and other significant chronic diseases that lower our life expectancy and drive up healthcare costs. This plan is demonstrably linked to just making things quieter and more enjoyable. I don't know about you, but really loud cars and loud blowing machines, people find those really irritating. And when you can electrify things, you make them quieter. Electrical equipment to do all sorts of landscaping and all sorts of neighborhood improvement and residential improvement and commercial improvement. To the extent you can electrify them, saves you money, and it's quieter, improving the quality of life for neighbors. And this work is really demonstrated to grow jobs and save money. We know that electrification stabilizes costs for business, stabilizes costs for property owners and the residential structure, residents over time. So again, even the science is sound. The science is absolutely sound. But even if climate change wasn't a thing that we've found yet, and it wasn't real, and we are simply improving the quality of life for everyone for no reason, then sign me up. Really, this can be a quality of life plan, an economic development plan, a healthcare improvement plan. Really, the practical steps in here do all those things in really practical ways. And that's why I think this work is really significant and really important, and for us to figure out how to practically invest our resources where we can. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on 2023-30S?
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Nay.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 6 ayes and 1 nay.
On a vote of 6 ayes and 1 nay, the ordinance is adopted. We're back to resolutions, and we're back to the resolution that we pulled from the consent agenda. We have Resolution 2023-154 before us. Councilmember Krueger for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 2023-154.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-154. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title into the record?
Thank you. Proposal number R 2023-154, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming the appointment of one new member, Mark Navet, to the Pierce County Birth to 25 Advisory Board.
Thank you. I don't believe we have Mark Navat with us, but Councilmember Krueger wanted to pull this off the consent agenda so that she could make some remarks. Councilmember Krueger, before we open this up for a public hearing?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say a few words for Mark. He's so excited about getting onto this board for the Births to 25. He is an assistant or substitute teaching right now, and he has all the different credentials. He's former military, and I just wanted to acknowledge how appreciative I am that he is stepping up to take this position with the Birth to 25 in the area. He's going to bring a lot of fun, a lot of knowledge and encouragement, and a lot of ideas on what to do, to help the kids in the Pierce County. So I just wanted to be able to publicly tell him thank you and let folks know how special he is. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions before we open this up for a public hearing? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing on Resolution 2023-154, an appointment to the Birth to 25 Advisory Board. Anybody in chambers wishing to provide comment on this appointment resolution? Not seeing anybody in chambers, come to the podium. Mr. Dominique. Anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public that'd like to provide public comment on Resolution 2023-154, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing. We'll bring it back to the council. Are there final comments by council members? I'm not seeing any. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2023-154?
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin,
Aye.
Councilmember Morel,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger,
Aye.
Councilmember Jensen,
Aye.
and Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. We're back to Resolution 2023-148. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to, you said we're on 148?
Yes.
I would like to move R 2023-148.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt proposal R 2023-148. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Proposal number R 2023-148, a resolution of the Pierce County Council accepting the 2023 Affordable Housing Fund recommendations and approving certain expenditures of funds.
Thank you. Ms. Merrick, good evening.
Good evening, Chair Mello, members of the council, Lee Beth Merrick, council staff. Before you is Resolution R 2023-148, which accepts the 2023 Affordable Housing Funding recommendations. This comes to you from the Health and Human Services Committee with a due pass recommendation. For some background, the Human Services Department annually issues an affordable housing notice of funding availability, also known as a NOFA. The NOFA is comprised of 3 fund sources. The first is the 1406 funds, which are the state sales and use tax credit that goes back to the local governments. 2060 funds, which is the document recording fee surcharge, and federal HUD home dollars. So this year's NOFA was released in May with a little over $6.2 million in available funding. The department received 13 eligible applications requesting over $27 million in total funding. The department recommended awarding the available funding to 6 of the applications. Of those 6, 4 were recommended for the full amount of the funds requested. The proposal before you accepts the funding recommendations, which can be found starting on page 151 of your packet. The proposal also approves the release of the over $6.2 million to fund the recommendations. This is subject to appropriation in the 24-25 biennial budget. On page 154 of the packet, you'll notice there is a green, yellow, and red shaded table noting the projects scored and the rank for funding. So the projects in green are recommended for funding, the projects in yellow are waitlist, and the projects in red are not recommended for funding. The equity note can be found starting on page 145 of your packet. There is no fiscal impact. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we also have Mr. Brian Schmid on the Zoom call to answer any questions that may be for the department.
Thank you. Mr. Schmid, do you have anything to add on behalf of the department?
Nothing additional to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions and comments before we open this up for a public hearing? We'll begin with Councilmember Herrera.
Just had a question on, I don't have the packet in front of me. I might have missed it, but I'm only assuming that the veteran housing, assisted housing stuff is included.
I need to look at the exact.
Yeah.
So if you go, it starts on page 151. There should be 2 Mercy projects for 210 new units of affordable housing for incomes from 30 to 60%. There's homeownership in there. So the Habitat for Human, are you seeing? Okay. There's rehabilitation of a 4-bedroom home for individuals with intellectual disabilities earning less than 30% AMI. There's operating and maintenance for 2 adult family homes for low-income individuals living with HIV/AIDS. And then there's operating and maintenance for 15 studio apartments for single adults with mental illness earning less than 30% AMI.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions before we open this up for a public hearing? I'm not seeing any. Thank you, Ms. Merrick. Thank you, Mr. Schmid. This is a public hearing on Resolution 2023-148. Any members of the public wishing to provide comment? We'll start here in chambers. Anyone coming to the podium to provide comment on this resolution releasing funds for affordable housing? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public wishing to provide public comment on proposal number R 2023-148, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or press star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any final remarks by council members? Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to acknowledge and thank the staff as we're getting better at this as a county. I don't know if we are aware of that, but the blending and braiding and putting things together and figuring out ways to actually get units out there. And there's quite a variety here. Even with it's weird to say $6 million is a small pot, but it is a small pot, but it leverages millions of additional dollars because we don't build as many units that are listed here with $6 million. So there's other sources of funds, other grants that they've applied for, and private and other public dollars that come in to make this work, to help provide permanent supportive housing in some cases, and just housing in general for community members that need a place to call home. So just very excited to see these units come in online as soon as they possibly can. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other final remarks? I too will just close. Thank you to our staff and the department who worked with other jurisdictions in this to make these recommendations to the council. The list is a really impactful list. It came to us with high quality information. As noted in committee, we appreciated the level of detail that was given to council to make this decision. So thank you for the hard work. Also appreciate that the list this time came to us with a potential wait list and items not recommended for funding, and getting that opinion about what should not be recommended for funding for any number of reasons is also very helpful to policymakers. So appreciate the clarity. I'll just remind folks that these are not the Maureen Howard Affordable Housing Act dollars. These are the affordable housing dollars that are available to the county that are not the Maureen Howard Affordable Housing Act dollars that we approved earlier this year. Those will be made available after council approves a funding plan and after council releases a notice of funding availability for those dollars, likely early next year. As we noted, there's about $27 million worth of requested need, and only about $6 million we only have $6 million available in this in this notice of funding availability. So there's a great amount of need outside of the current available resources. And again, thank goodness we approved the Maureen Howard Affordable Housing Act to try to better meet the the great need and demand that's in our community for affordable housing. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2023-148?
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera. Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. That brings us to Proposal R 2023-149. Councilmember Denson for a motion.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move Resolution 2023-149.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-149. Madam Clerk, please read.
Proposal number R 2023-149, a resolution of the Pierce County Council amending resolution number R 2022-191 related to appointments to external boards and commissions for the year 2023 to add appointments to the Sumner Library Capital Facility Area Governing Board.
Thank you. Ms. Long.
Thank you. So this proposal will amend Resolution R 2022-191, as stated in the title, to appoint 3 council members to serve as the Sumner Library Capital Facility Area Governing Board. The creation of a Sumner Library Capital Facility Area was approved by the affected voters at the August 2023 primary election. The Sumner Library Capital Facility Area was created to finance a new library in the city of Sumner and to authorize the Library Capital Facility Area to finance library capital facilities by issuing general indebtedness and imposing excess levies to retire the indebtedness. State law at RCW 2715-030 provides that the governing body of a library capital facility area shall be 3 members of the county legislative authority from the county in which the library capital facility area is located. In counties having more than 3 members on their legislative body, the 3 members to serve on the library capital facility area governing body shall be chosen by the full membership of the county legislative body. So that's what we're doing today. And just in brief, the authority of a library capital facility area and its governing body is set forth in state law, and it provides that they may construct, acquire, maintain, and remodel library capital facilities, and the governing body of the library capital facility area may, by interlocal agreement or otherwise, contract with a county, city, town, or library district to design, administer, the construction of, operate, or maintain a library capital facility financed pursuant to that section of state law. So the council did adopt Resolution R 2022-191 to make appointments to external boards and commissions for the year 2023. And this proposal would amend that to add the language that you'll see on page 2 of your resolution. It will add to your long list of things that you serve on, boards and commissions, the Sumner Library Capital Facility Area Governing Board, and you will appoint 3 council members, and they are Councilmember Herrera, Hitchin, and Morrell. Surprise. And I'll note that I believe Gretchen Casarati is here behind the podium from the library board to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Casarati, do you have anything to add on behalf of the library board?
Chair Morrell, council members, I'm just pleased to be here. I'm grateful to the citizens who turned out their votes and cast their vote and participated. And we've been working closely with Susan. We'll continue to do so as we enter into the next stage to develop interlocal agreements. We've moved right out of the gate, as we promised, with an RFQ for architects on the streets that closes November 13th, something coming up. So we're really actively moving forward to uphold our commitment to move quickly. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Long or Ms. Casarati? Not seeing any. Thank you very much for being here and making yourself available. This is a public hearing on Proposal 2023-149. Anybody in chambers wishing to provide comment on this resolution? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public wishing to provide comment on proposal number R 2023-149, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? Thank you, Councilmembers Herrera, Morrell, and Hitchin for your willingness to serve. It's an exciting opportunity for the community of Sumner. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on Resolution 2023-149.
Councilmember Morrell,
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger,
Aye.
Councilmember Denson,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Councilmember Kitchen,
Aye.
and Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. That brings us to Proposal R 2023-150. Madam Clerk, please read.
Proposal number R 2023-150, a resolution of the Pierce County Council setting the date of an evening District Number 2 council meeting for Wednesday, November 29, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. at Sumner City Hall, 1104 Maple Street, Sumner, Washington.
Thank you. Ms. Long.
Thank you. The county charter provides that the council shall conduct at least one evening meeting in each of the 7 districts each year. And your rules of procedure, which are codified, provide that the specific time, place, and dates of these evening meetings be set by resolution. So the resolution before you today will do just that, setting the date of the evening District 2 meeting with the details as stated in the title and read by the clerk. I'll just make a note that this meeting is in addition to the regular Tuesday at 3 p.m. meeting of that same week.
Thank you. Council comments or questions here? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the chambers wishing to provide comment on this resolution, come to the podium. I'm sorry? What did I do?
Has this been moved from the board? No. I don't
Oh,
recall.
my bad. I'm just moving right through it. Councilmember Herrera for a motion.
Chair, I move Resolution R 2023-150. Approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2023-150. We've read it into the record. We've had the staff briefing. My apologies. Thank you for keeping me honest. We're going to move to a public hearing. Here in chambers, anyone coming to the podium to provide comment on this resolution? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public wishing to provide public comment on 2023-150, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or press *9 on your telephone keypad. No hands at this time, Chair.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Final remarks by council members. Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick, it's going to be good. We're working on the agenda. As everybody knows, I haven't had an assistant for a while, and we're working on the agenda, but I suspect that we might have a library briefing, and we're going to get, and probably something from public safety, and then, of course, let the local electives give maybe their briefing, because everyone's going to be probably pretty exhausted after budget, moving into the Christmas season and things like that. So, and then we'll look at some type of snack and food. So, thank you, Chair.
Thank you for preparing for us, Councilmember Herrera. We're excited to be in the community of Sumner. Not seeing any other hands. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on 2023-150?
Councilmember Campbell,
Aye.
Okay, now.
and Councilmember Krueger,
Aye.
Councilmember Denson,
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera,
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin,
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell,
Yeah, I'll go along with it. Aye.
and Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
Thank you. You guys are fun. The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. That's all of our business for today, so we get to turn our attention to community forum. That's all of our business today, and we get to turn our attention to community forum. Community forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any topic that did not appear on today's agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit. We ask you to state your name if you would like it on the record, and that you address all your comments to the chair. We'll start with those in chambers. I apologize, I don't have a sign-in sheet in front of me. I think it's still back there. So I'm just going to ask anyone who's here for community forum to just come forward, introduce yourself for the record. You have 3 minutes to make your remarks. Scott? Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Chair Mello, esteemed council members, my name is Scott Bailey Clifthorne. I'm a union representative at Teamsters Local 117. We proudly represent about 17,000 hardworking union members here in the state of Washington, including 226 folks here in Pierce County at the Assessor Treasurer's Office, down in the Superior Court Clerk's Office, facilities and maintenance, the medical examiner, parks and recreation, the sheriff's office, and the Veterans Bureau. It's a lot of folks doing a lot of different stuff here. I'll share that I'm very reluctantly here. We like to keep bargaining at the bargaining table. However, myself and my union colleagues here from many of the unions here representing employees in Pierce County are really frustrated. Since I first negotiated a contract with Pierce County in 2017, the same dynamic has played out all 4 times I've been at the table bargaining with the county, which is we come to the table and it's maybe starts about the same time that you guys receive a budget proposal from the county executive. At that moment in time, through your budget process, you set a cost of living adjustment that the non-represented employees get. We usually get a quarter of that presented to us, an initial offer. Maybe we see half of that before the end of the calendar year. The contract expires. We see the other 3/4 of the amount the non-represented employees get sometime between January and March, and we get the whole nut sometime between June and July. So we wait 7 months to get offered the same thing that non-represented folks get on January 1st of every year. And that doesn't feel like negotiating. So we're here because you're in the middle of the thick of budget season, as you well know, and we know it's going to be exhausting at the end of that process. We also know that no matter what we do at the bargaining table, we're not going to get anything in our contracts that you all don't help get into that budget on the front end. And there's some important priorities we're asking for your solidarity and working on as you think about the well-being of your county employees during budget season. First, if you look at the cost of living adjustments that union members have received here in Pierce County since 2021, that's a cumulative 8.65% increase in wages. That's at the same time that the cost of living has increased by 16.5%. So that's about 8% erosion in our employees, your employees, my members' purchasing power here in Pierce County. That's during a similar period of time where housing costs have increased over 25.5%. And so the things that we're hoping you're going to do is make sure that the budget includes significantly more for a cost of living adjustment than the executive proposed 4%, that we're going to make sure that the Superior Court clerks can actually work 40 hours a week instead of the 37.5 hours that they are currently compensated to do, and to also make sure that everyone here has a living wage. Because of those 226 Teamsters that I represent in Pierce County, 1/3 of them don't make a living wage according to the MIT living wage calculator, even at step 10 of their wage scale. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Tara, then Adam Brinkman. Welcome.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. My name is Tara Amon. I'm a business representative and president of Teamsters Local Union 313. I represent roads, traffic, facilities, and some clerical positions in those departments. I'm here to ask the council to be mindful during the budget process in regards to employee wage increases. It is time for these employees to receive a fair increase in their wages. In the past, all they have ever received was 90% of the cost of living, and many times less than that. It is getting more difficult for my members and your employees to live. The cost of fuel, groceries, rent, mortgage, and loan rates are continually accelerating higher and higher, and my members are struggling to live. My members, your employees, have kept this county running efficiently and safely without fail. They deserve to be compensated for their hard work and tireless effort in maintaining roadways, maintaining properties owned by the county, and accounting for all of this work. These employees are the reason we have safe roads. They are the people who are out plowing snow in the middle of the night to make sure our roadways are safe for all of us. I ask that you keep this in mind during your budget process. All of these employees work hard every day for the county, and all they ask is to be compensated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Adam Brinkman, followed by Troy Lee, and then Jason Render.
Thank you, Council, for the time. I'm here representing the members of traffic signal technicians down in Pierce County. I'm from IBEW Local 483. I do want to say that I stand in solidarity with my brother and sister from Teamsters, saying that asking you all to please budget reasonably for the next budget cycle so that we can get some decent increases for our members out there. A couple of years ago in 2018, Siegel Waters was commissioned to do a report on the wages for our members down there all across the county. And in 2019, that report was put out. I took a couple of the comparators from that report. One was City of Seattle. The other was Tacoma Signal and Lighting Electricians. The lighting electricians at Tacoma are at $51.40 an hour. City of Seattle signal techs are at $56.52. Our members of the county are at $46.76. If you do the math, that comes out to about $5 less than Tacoma and $10 an hour less than City of Seattle. Further, we'd also like to call to attention the inflation over the last several years. I think you all probably aware CPI in June to June in 2022 was 10.1%. Our members got something like a 2% raise that year. Over the last 4 years, our members have lost to inflation to the tune of about 10.38%. That means their buying power is lower by 10.38% than it was 4 years ago. Out of the last 4 years, our members have beat inflation one time, and that was in 2020 to the tune of 1%. County's compensation model isn't keeping up with inflation, and I think that will probably lead to hiring and retention problems. And I think that everybody in this room would agree that keeping governmental costs low is appropriate, but not at the expense of people that have been at work every day for the last 4 years, keeping the lights on in Pierce County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being with us. Troy?
Good afternoon, Honorable Ryan Mill, Chair. I appreciate taking the time to hear me today, sir. My name is Troy Lee. I am representing ProTech 17, which represents the engineers in planning and public works, all the right-of-way agents, asset managers, water quality folks, engineer technicians, and there's quite a few positions, somewhere around 230. Just to give you some of my background, I started temporary here in 1986, holding a sign out for summer hire for public works. I got permanent in '89. I've been doing this ever since. I've negotiated contracts going back to all the executives since Booth Gardner left. So I appreciate everyone's effort here today. I'm in support and solidarity with all my brothers and sisters here in the unions that represent it. I can't say anything further than what they said there. They hit it. Inflation has hit us quite bad. I heard a comment the other day that Halloween County is at 13%. I go to a church on 112th Street, Church for All Nations, and I know that the pastor asked for Halloween candy. So we're doing that donation, but I saw that 13%. So things are hurting out in the community. I'm involved quite a bit in the community. I go out in the street and do different things, and I see people every day. And I would encourage you to continue Pierce County standards that we have had over these decades. I'm very proud of this county. I've lived here. I'm 56. I've lived here 54 years. So I'm born in North Dakota, Bismarck. I'm a grandson of a World War II veteran. I come from a long-standing union families, from the operators to electricians here. I like the comment about blue collar. And I would just say that the process here with our current executive, in all due respect, has been difficult at times. We have found that some of the descriptions here used how they process and get us into the next year. We're kind of forced into receiving the contract that was kind of shoved down us a little bit as far as the COLA. The Siegel study is quite subjective if you look at it, and we're trying to do that now during negotiations. And we just ask your support to keep Pierce County a competitive employer here and try to get the best here in Pierce County, along with the equity that we all want to be part of. We're at Tacoma here, right? So I really appreciate your time, and you guys do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us and for representing your members. Jason Renders, the last person I have signed up here in Chambers. We'll see if there's anybody else in Chambers after Jason, and then we're going to move to the Zoom room.
So
My name is Jason Render. I'm a facilities maintenance, one of the guys that walk around here doing all the maintenance all the time. One of the guys that shovel the snow down here on the sidewalks when it's nasty, icy. I'm in solidarity with my union brothers and my sisters that we need a little bit more cost of living raise, something that we can negotiate, something that we can do. It's hurting all of us, guys. The COVID, we went through the COVID. I work in this jail. COVID went through there like crazy, guys. All of us got it. Everybody got it. Everybody was sick. We've asked for hazardous pay in the jail so that we can do our job every day. And we're being told no. Nope. We don't have any money. We don't have this. We don't have that. And I just hope that you guys will understand that, I've been here for 27 years doing this job with Pierce County. It's a career. When I first got hired on, it was a career. Now, for me, it's just, I feel like it's a job. Nobody cares. And I hope that we can do something. I hope that we can look for some extra money to maybe help some of us out so that we can, try to get a decent contract and a decent negotiation so that we can live comfortably. And like you said, make it a vibrant place to work and attract positive people to come here and actually want to do this job every day. Because I got about 3 years left. I'm hoping I can retire and go do something different. But I just wanted you guys to know. So, like I said, I appreciate your time and everything, and it's good seeing everybody. Good seeing you, Denise. Yep.
Thank you for what you do. You look awfully young to be thinking about retirement.
Yeah.
Anybody else in chambers?
See Mr. Morrell afterwards. He's got something for you.
Yeah, I got something up here for you.
Anybody else in chambers wishing to participate in community forum? Not seeing any. Mr. Dominique, anybody in our Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to participate in tonight's community forum, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. We have one hand, WOLK.
Mr. Wolk, we're going to have you participate in community forum. You're not to introduce yourself as a candidate or talk about your candidacy for public office. Please proceed.
All right, thank you so much, and sorry about that. I did not mean to disrupt the meeting. Yeah, is my time counting down? I don't know.
Your 3 minutes will start now.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone of Pierce County. I'm addressing the council. I've lived here my entire life, and I've just been dealing with it too long, so I'm gonna have to do whatever it takes to get comfortable in these kinds of forums and be able to speak clearly and articulate myself. So please excuse me while I do some exercises to get ready. Okay, everybody in Pierce County, you need to pay attention. Stop being stupid. Stop voting stupid. It's come to the point for me where it's either leave Pierce County entirely or do something to try to bring sanity back. And you know what? I'm not going to tuck my tail and run away from the place that I grew up in and have spent almost every second of my life walking. So, people of Pierce County, people of Tacoma, people of Washington, I challenge you to mutual combat in accordance with the laws of Washington State.
Mr. Volk, please address your comments to the chair. And we're going to ask you not to incite any violence in your comments. So please proceed.
I'm not inciting violence. This is one of the 2 states in the country that has legal mutual combat. I'm only issuing a gentleman's challenge. It's time for cowardice to stop ruling our lives. We all saw what happened in the past 3 years, where citizens turned on each other, covered each other's faces, pull children aside and unleash your psychopathic anxieties on them. Most of all, so I'm saying that Executive Bruce Stenmeyer must veto the recent bill that was also voted for by Dave Morrell. I'm sorry, hold on. I have the number. All right. But I'm saying stop changing the language and stop pushing critical theory inspired.
Anybody else in the Zoom room?
For any other member of the public that would like to participate in community forum this evening, please press the raise hand icon or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no other hands, we'll close the community forum portion of our meeting and bring it back to the council. I just wanted to close community forum. Apologize for some of what some folks had to hear. We try to create a safe and respectful place for folks of different opinions to express themselves here, but in a safe and respectful way for everybody. I wanted to really thank the folks who represent our hardworking employees here at Pierce County for coming and representing your members so ably. We know you're at the negotiating table, so we're not going to violate any of those rules of engagement as it relates to employer and management bargaining. But we hear you. Thank you for taking the time to represent your members so ably and educating us about the needs of your members. We hear you. We really do. And even though we don't engage in bargaining in this environment, the education you give us really helps us do our job. So thank you for so ably representing your members. We're going to close the community forum portion of the meeting and move to section 11, other business and announcements.
Chair, we have someone that just raised their hand.
Is there any objection to reopening community forum? Mr. Dominique.
All right, number ending in 301. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Yolanda Markle. I live in Spanaway, the Frederickson area. And something had come to my attention, FYI, that I hadn't heard talked about here at the council, but I thought it was very relevant since my whole neighborhood is turning into Warehouse Central. And when our last president was in office, he put a bill called the Community Zone. I think a few of the people on the board might know what that is. Well, the Community Zone is where people can come in and buy up property in only low-income areas where we need housing, not warehouses, and they can purchase, build, and be, for 10 years, not have to pay their taxes. And they can lose money because that's what's going on here. They're all empty. So please, check out Community Zone, all of our residents. It's a federal bill that the last president put in. And this is what's going on in our neighborhood. They're buying up property that needs to be for affordable and sustainable and housing where people can live. And instead we have warehouses on wetlands. We're being sued because of the bad things we're doing to our environment because of these buildings. And it needs to stop. We need to house our people and be responsible and not be, filling up with, they will come, We need to take care of our residents today and now. These empty warehouses do nothing for our community. And with 10 years down the line, they're going to quote unquote defer taxes. There goes all our roads, all our infrastructure. We don't have anything. This is why we're in the problem that we have right now. So we have to stop destroying our environment, putting up buildings that are of no use to anybody but some rich guy that doesn't live here, and take care of our residents and put sustainable housing. Not, my little house used to be $20,000 in 1980. Now it's up to $300,000. It's the same little house, excuse me. We have to stop being the bedrooms of Seattle and take care of Pierce County. Please, have some conscience, people. You have the power. You have the power to do the right thing. And this community zone business needs to stop. So please, everyone listening, look it up. Community zones, a federal act done by the last president to destroy our low-income neighborhoods so that we can't get affordable housing, so that people can't live, so there can be two classes in the world, the haves and the have-nots. Our middle class is dying. Please, I beg of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
There are no more hands at this time, Chair.
Thank you. Now we'll close community forum. We sincerely appreciate everyone who takes the time to express their concerns to the council. We are at other business and announcements. Before we move into an executive session, are there any other business or announcements by members? Councilmember Hitchen.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to point out I'm wearing our new I voted stickers. I dropped my ballot off this morning and I was so excited I couldn't wait till Election Day, so I wore it today. Just to remind you all, you can vote up until now, and I want to say 8 p.m. if I'm correct. If you drop it off 8 p.m. on the 7th, we'll probably be in a council meeting still, so please, my colleagues, do it before. But just, it's pretty simple, and don't worry, I won't forget. I'm still bringing donuts on Election Day. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other business or announcements by other members? Ms. Long, is there any other business for council this evening?
Not today, thank you.
Under other business, we do have an executive session. Ask Ms. Long to brief us on the purpose of the executive session.
Thank you. So this is an executive session authorized by RCW 4230-110-1I. The purpose is to discuss with legal counsel matters of pending or potential litigation to which the county is or may become a party, and to which public knowledge of the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the county. As we do, Mr. Chair, if you'll state the time at which the council will return to an open session. And just to note, the only item following the council's return into an open session is adjournment. And I understand that the time required today is maybe 15, 20 minutes.
So we will return to an open session at 5:15. So, and the only thing that we will do at that time, we plan to do, is adjournment. So we will be at recess until 5:15. Well, good evening. The time is 5:15 p.m. The council is back from its executive session, and seeing no other business before the Pierce County Council this evening in our regular business meeting, we are adjourned.
There's a lot of the larger vehicles that are doing it for that particular recreation reason.
Thank you for answering those questions. We have 2 more members, and then after this, we have 4 even more substantive